everybody, thank you so much for joining me for this amazing DIY tutorial. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make a wall hanging, or it could also be a wall plant hanger. So let's go ahead and get started. If you ordered your kit from me, you will have everything that you need. I like to use a piece of wood about 8 or 9 inches long. You guys might have one, I don't know, probably between 8 and 10 inches. I just kind of eyeballed the measurements on that, and it's also personal preference if you're using your own piece of wood or whatever you're going to use to hang your creation from. You're also going to need 2 smaller pieces of cord. I didn't really measure them, probably about 20 inches or so. These are going to be for your hanging cord, and also for a gathering knot that we're going to use if you decide to make this into a plant hanger. So you can put those smaller pieces off to the side for now. If you ordered your kit from me, you should have 10 pieces of long cord, and those will measure 135 inches each. So what we're going to do is take one of those longer cords, one at a time actually, and I'm going to teach you guys how to do what is called a lark's head knot. This is how almost all macrame pieces are started. This is how you attach your cord to your whatever you're hanging it from. So in our case, it'll be from our piece of wood. So first, what you're going to do is take one of your longer cords, you're going to fold it directly in half, and you're going to create a loop right at the top. And the loop, what we're going to do is we're going to take the loop and put it over or under, whatever your preference is. I like to do it like this. I like to put the loop in front and over, so then you just fold it right over your piece of wood, and you're going to take the other 2 pieces and pull it right through, all the way through, and then pull it up. And this is called a lark's head knot. And I like this part right here to be in the front when I do my hangings. Some of you might like yours like this in the back. It's all personal preference, but I like to make sure that they're all the same as well. So you're going to do the same thing for all 10 pieces of cord that you have. You just fold it right in half, and then you'll have your loop, put it in front of your wood, fold it over, and then pull those right through your loop, pull it up, and that is your lark's head knot. Again, I like to make sure that I have equal spacing as well. And that is also a personal preference, how you do your spacing. You could do a little space in between. You could put them all very close together, but that is going to affect how your knots look at the end. So I want you to just keep in mind, if you would want to do yours like me, I just like to put just a tiny little bit of space in between each of my lark's head knots. Okay, so now you have all 10 of your cords attached. You need to just make sure, again, that you have equal spacing here in the middle, and then also that your spacing on the outside kind of looks equal as well. You don't have to measure it or anything, just eyeball it. You know, you don't have to be a perfectionist on this, and you can kind of slide them over once you start knotting if you want to. And we just want to make sure that we have some space on the outsides for our hanging cord that we'll do at the end. And I'll be teaching you guys the technique that I use to put my hanging cords on. Okay, so first we are going to create square knots across the top of your piece. In order to create a square knot, you're going to first take the first 4 cords over here on the left side. I like to start from the left and move to the right, just like you're reading. You're gonna have these 4 cords. The 2 in the middle are called your lead cords. They don't really do anything. They help the knot hold its shape. Well, they do something. They are important, but you're not gonna do any knotting with them. You're gonna have your left working cord over here and your right working cord over here. So with the left working cord, you are going to go over the middle 2 cords and create a 4 shape. This is what I mean when I say a 4 shape. So it goes over the middle 2 cords, and then the right working cord is going to go over the left one that created that 4, and then behind everything and through this loop here, and you're going to pull it straight up. Okay, so then you're going to do the same thing but with the right working cord first. The right working cord is going to go over the middle 2 cords. You're going to take the left working cord in front of that right cord and then behind the 2 and through the loop here, and you're going to pull that up, and that is called a square knot. Okay, so we're going to do it again. We're going to do it all the way across. You have 10 cords total, so that means that you're going to end up with 5 working cords across the top. 5 square knots across the top of your piece. Okay, so you're going to take the next grouping of 4. Remember, the middle 2 are your lead cords, the outer 2 are your working cords. You'll take your left working cord over the middle 2 cords, and then you're going to take your right working cord over the left, through the back and through the loop, and pull it up. And I'm going to make this note just like I did in my first video. Macrame is about tension. You want to make sure that you're pulling these nice and tight all the way up to your piece of wood. And so again, with the right side, you're going to do the right cord over the middle 2, take the left one over that right cord, put it behind and through. Pull it up nice and tight. Make sure that your knots look very uniform. They look the same. You don't want one to be too tight and one to be too loose. It's going to make your overall piece look very like sloppy. So if you want it to look nice and uniform and neat, just make sure that you're paying attention to your tension and making sure that your knots look the same as you go along. It might be tedious at first, but it will pay off in the long run. So you're going to do it again. Make the same knot for this next grouping of 4. Macrame is usually all about like taking groups, especially when you're doing square knots. You're taking groupings of 4 to make that knot, or 3. You know, once you get advanced, you can play around with it a lot, but square knots are like the foundation to me, as well as lark's head knots, but square knots are like the foundation. They're nice and strong. You can create shapes with them after you get the hang of it. So we're moving along to our next grouping of 4. And then we're going to do our final group. I'm going to move this over just a little bit. All right, so then we'll do our final group for this first row. Okay, so this is what your first row should look like. Super pretty, and make sure that all of your knots look the same. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to the second one. For the second row, it's gonna be easier for you if you take out these first 2 cords, so you can just kind of like put them on top of your workspace, or put them over to the side, or clip them over to the side, just to get them out of your way, because you're not going to be knotting with them right now. So they're out of the way, and we're going to go ahead and create our second row. So you're going to take this first grouping of 4 after you've taken these 2 out of the way. This is your new first grouping of 4. Okay, so what we're going to do is I think it's called a switch knot. Please don't quote me on that, it might be wrong. That's what I call it anyway. So you take these outside 2 pieces, and they are going to switch over in front of those middle 2 cords, just like that. And these are going to be, instead of being your working cords, these are going to become your lead cords. So you're going to put those in the middle, and that's going to make this cool little squiggly effect, I guess. And you're going to go ahead and use these outside 2 as your working cords. Okay, so you're going to take your left one over your new middle two. You're going to take the right one in front of that and then behind and through, just like you did on the first row of knots. But now instead, it's creating this cool effect here. And I will leave this part up to you, how long or short you want to keep your middle sections. You can tie it all the way up to create this kind of effect, or you can loosen it and you can have a more, you know, you can see this like figure eight kind of look a little bit better. So that's up to you how tight or loose you want to tie it. Just know that the final look, if you tie it tighter, it's going to be, you know, you're either going to be tying more knots to have it longer, or it's just going to be shorter. The design is what I'm talking about. So I do mine about maybe an inch or so. That's my left side. So now I'm going to do the right side over the middle too. Make sure you put your left cord in front, back, and then through the loop here. And look at this beautiful design coming into shape. So you'll take your next grouping of 4 here, and you're going to do the same thing. Take these outside 2 cords and switch them over to become your middle 2 cords. You're going to take your left cord over the middle 2, your new middle 2, and you're going to take your right cord over the left, the back, and through. And you're going to pull it up nice and careful so that it matches the top of the cord, of the knot beside it. So then we're going to do the same thing on the right side. You put the right over the middle 2, put that left over the right and the back, and then through. Very carefully again, you're going to pull up, make sure it's nice and tight, and make sure they look the same. Okay, so we're just going to continue on. Make sure you're switching over. Okay, so if you notice here, we had a row of 5 knots. In this next row, it's a row of 4. So then in the next one, it's going to be another row of 5 and then a row of 4. And we're going to repeat until we start doing less and less to get the point at the end. So for the next row, you're going to want to pull your other 2 that you took out. You're going to pull them back down because we got to create this row of 5 again. So again, you're going to take the outside 2 in this first grouping of 4 and switch it over into the middle, and they're going to become your lead cords. Take your left working cord over the middle, your right over that left, back and through. And really at this point, you probably are getting the hang of it, and if you're not, it's okay. Take your time. Please do not get frustrated. The good thing is you're at home. You can undo the knots if you need to, and you can start over. And if anyone needs any help, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I would be glad to walk you through it. So you just continue on. Make sure that you're switching your knots into the middle to become your lead cords, and then you can continue to do your square knots for this row. And just be mindful of your spacing, and also be mindful of your tension. If you're pulling things too tight or too loose, it's not going to be the same. So you have to really work on that tension when you're doing macrame knots. And that is something that can be very frustrating in the beginning, but trust me, you do so many of the same knots over and over again that you just get the hang of it after a while. Okay, so we're just going to continue on. We're going to do another row of 4. So if you want to take your cords off to the side, you can. You don't have to do that. I don't have to do that anymore. I'm able to just, just pretend they're not there and just continue on with your work. Here is another grouping of, or another row of 4 square knots. Okay, so here we're gonna do another grouping of 5, and then another grouping of 4, and then we're gonna start with our triangle to end off the piece. So you're gonna do a grouping of 5, a grouping of 4, and then another grouping of 5, and then we're gonna start ending it. So I'm gonna speed up this part, but I just wanted to let you guys know what I'll be working on, and I'll slow it down in between each chord so that you guys, or in between, I'm sorry, each row, so that you guys can see where you should be at that point. Okay, so at this point, we're going to start to use less and less rope so that we can create a point coming to the bottom. And then also we're going to do a little bit less spacing between each of the knots, between each of the rows. I'll show you guys that as well, so that our piece won't be super long. Now, if you want it to be, there's so much cord down left at the bottom. So if you want to continue doing like maybe 2 or 3 more rows of 5, and then 4, and then 5, and then 4, you can still do that and then continue at a longer point. I'm just saying that your plant hanger is going to be longer if you choose to put a plant in it. And your wall hanging, I mean, your wall hanging can be as long as you want it to be if you want. So just be mindful. I'll show you guys the standard length at how I like to have mine. Okay, so this is what I mean with you're gonna start making your spacing a little bit tighter. Up here, I did about probably a little bit more than an inch, closer to 2 inches. Down here, I'm gonna do significantly less. So it'll be a bit more of like, it literally looks like a little 8 in there. Oops. Okay, so now at this point, on the outside, instead of taking 2 out like you did for your row of 4, you're gonna take 4 out on each side. Because now we're gonna do a row of 3. So 3 knots instead of 4. So you're gonna take those 4 out on each side, and then this grouping, or your first grouping, is gonna be your new first knot. So you're just gonna continue on doing it the same way that you were before. Sorry, this is... Keep in mind your spacing. Okay, and then again, you're gonna take 2 more out on this next row. You're gonna have a row of 2, and if you catch my drift, you're just gonna keep taking 2 out until you get to 1 cord or 1 knot at the bottom. Okay, so now at this point, we are done with the wall hanging. If you want, you could, like I said before, there's so much cord left over. So if you want, you can continue on with the pattern. Just keeping in mind that you're gonna do a row of 5, and then a row of 4, a row of 5, and then a row of 4. And that's gonna create your main structure until you're ready to end the piece. And then you're gonna just take out 2 cords on each row until you get to the final cord in the middle to create your little triangle bottom here. And then you could be done. If you're doing a wall hanging, you could create like some little knotting at the bottom. You could play around at the bottom. There's plenty of rope for you guys to continue on if you would like to. But like I said, if you are doing a plant hanger, you don't want it to get too long, because then it's going to start to like warp it's going to pull like that in the middle. It's going to look a whole lot different. So you could trim her up and be done if you would like to, or you can continue on to do a plant hanger coming up next. Okay, so for this next part, we are going to create a little basket for our plant to sit. So for this part, you probably want to get like a plant pot or a plant if you have one to measure. If you want to put like a larger plant. Now I wouldn't recommend putting anything larger than a 6-inch pot in this hanging unless you have really good hanging hardware. And also a heavier plant means again that your plant hanger is going to kind of like warp in the middle and come in, and it won't really look as great. So it's up to you, but I recommend the biggest size being a 6-inch plant pot. So what you're going to do first is take these 2 outer cords, or 4 outer cords, and we're going to bring them to the front. And if you can tell, this is what's going to create your kind of front basket part. Now you can put this as high as you want. We're just going to create a square knot just like we did all throughout our piece. You can put it up here if you want, but keep in mind that means that your plant is probably going to be up into your design. Sometimes I do like that. So again, it's a personal preference. Again, you can put it up here, you can put it down here. I'm going to put mine probably right at this point here. Okay, so you're just going to make a square knot right here in this front part, just like that. Okay, square knot right here in the front. And one more time, you're going to take the outer 4 cords from the back. Now you're going to take these outer 4 cords. The first one is going to go here with this grouping of 2 under this square knot to create a new grouping of 4. So you're going to make another square knot right below it. Just like this. Please pay attention to your tension in this part. If you pull too hard, it really is going to have an effect on the top of your plant hanger. So you're not going to want to pull it too hard, and you're not going to want to leave it too loose either. It should look something like this when you're done. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Take the two outermost on the back, and you're going to join them with this front 2 here to create another square knot right below your top one. Make sure it's at the same level as your second one. They should be just like that, like little twins. And then you're going to take the grouping of 4 right here in the middle and make your bottom square knot to finish off this pattern. I'm outside, so there's like dirt. So that's what you should have here. That's going to be the front part of your little basket for your plant hanger. So at this point is when you're going to want to grab your plant. I'm using my beautiful Calathea White Fusion, and my plant is in a 4-inch pot. So like I said, it's personal preference, but I like to use a smaller pot. 4 or 6 inches would be my favorite for this type of plant hanger. And what you're going to do is kind of just put your plant in to see how the foliage, also how that like sits into your plant hanger, but also to see how far down you want to end your plant hanger. So, you know, this one is very leafy, but it's beautiful, and I think that it adds to the beauty of the plant hanger as well. So I'm going to measure mine down about this far. So you're just trying to see where you're going to put your gathering knot here at the bottom. So now you can take your plant out carefully. Okay, so you're going to take one of your shorter cords that came with your kit. Like I said, it's probably about 15 to 20 inches. It's just a little scrap piece of cord that you're going to use to create what is called a gathering knot. You're going to put that cord up vertical about where you measured where you want your plant to sit. You're going to make sure it's up vertical. Hold it with your thumb. This is going to be a tail that you create that you're going to pull through at the end, and then you're going to create a loop here and wrap that long piece of cord around. Oops. Wrap it around. Sorry about my nails too. It's like my nails get so long and then they break and I have to cut them all weird so that they don't hurt. Sorry if you have long nails, you know the struggle. But you're gonna continue to wrap around here. You can wrap around maybe like 4 or 5 times or longer if you would like. If you would like a longer gathering look. I think that's enough. So then you're gonna take that tail, that long tail that you have in your hand, and put it through the loop. And then you're gonna take the tail at the top and pull it through, pull it until all of that cord is inside of that knot. Now you don't wanna pull too hard because it's gonna pull it all the way through and you're gonna have to do it again, but you can do it again. So then you're just gonna cut off that top piece. The bottom piece can actually stay. It's just now gonna be part of your longer tail. So just cut off that piece there at the top, and then your plant hanger is done. We're just gonna do the top cord. You can trim up your tail as long or as short as you want. I really love long tails on these, but the plant hanger is already pretty long already. So like I said, personal preference, whatever fits your space. If you want to keep it long, you do that. If you want to make it short, you do what you want to do. It's your plant hanger. So now my plant hanger is done. We're going to take that other scrap piece of cord that we had and we're going to create a hanging cord. You could just tie it on if you want to. You don't have to do anything super special. But I just want to show you guys how I like to put my hanging cords on, just because to me it's stronger than just tying it on. Okay, so first what we're gonna do is create a lark's head knot just like we did in the very beginning, except this time it's going to go on the top of your piece of wood. So what you're gonna do is just kind of take a little bit at the end and create a loop. Create a loop just like you did in the beginning, and you're going to tie it onto your cord. I like to put the loop at the bottom and then put it up towards the top and put these two through it, through that loop that you created. Pull it all the way through so you have one long one and one shorter one. And then what I like to do is to just kind of tie a knot, I guess, just like this. Just tie a knot there 2 times, just like that. And then for the other side, you're going to put your cord here in the front of your wood. You're going to take it to the back here, pull it through, and it's going to be on the left side. So you're going to pull it over on the left side, put it in front of that cord, behind your wood, and through that loop there, and it's gonna create also a lark's head knot. So one more time, let me do it again. Okay, so it's gonna be, make sure that you have your height however you want your however long you want your hanging cord to be. It's in front of your wood. You're gonna bring it around behind. Okay, it's going to be over here on the left side. It's coming around on the left side. You're going to put that in front of that cord, take it behind your wood, and then tuck it through that loop there that's hanging. It might take you a couple tries to get this. It took me forever to figure this out. So for a long time, I would not do this knot because I just didn't know how to do it. So if you have to rewind a couple times, please don't feel bad, and please just be patient. And if that doesn't work for you, you can always just tie it on the wood normally, like a normal tie, like a normal knot. So then you're just going to trim off those longer ends there. And again, I'm sorry, I created this knot just by tying that little piece of cord around, and just like I did here on the other side. I like to do that twice because that holds that knot into place very well. And then I can cut all the way up to the knot and not worry about anything coming apart or the weight of the plant pulling those knots out. So then you have your completed plant hanger. Your plant is ready to go on in there, and it's ready to hang. Ooh la la. Good job, guys. I'm so proud of all of you for doing this, for even trying this. If you need any help, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I will be glad to help you out, and please tag me and send me pictures of your completed creations.